We often talk about the big flashy industries, right? The tech giants, the finance world. But sometimes the real economic muscle is hidden away.
Absolutely. In places you might not expect, like industrial chemicals, these sort of unseen compounds are often fundamental.
Exactly. Things you've probably never heard of, but they underpin massive sectors.
Hmm. It's this complex web, isn't it? Global supply chains mean a chemical that sounds obscure can actually have huge ripple effects.
Which, well, that brings us neatly to today's deep dive. We've got our hands on a really detailed market report. It's all about heptanoic acid.
Ah, yes, heptanoic acid.
And it's projecting a global market size of, get this, USD 351.5 million in 2025. That number definitely made me sit up.
It's significant, yeah. It tells you this isn't just some niche product. It must have pretty broad uses.
Right. So our mission today is to dive into this report, pull out the key stuff for you, the listener. We want to see, where is it growing? Why does it matter? And frankly, what makes heptanoic acid interesting?
Okay, let's do it.
So first things first, what is heptanoic acid? For those of us who aren't chemical engineers.
Huh, fair enough. Well, okay, technically it's a medium-chain carboxylic acid. Its other name is a xanthic acid.
Right.
But what's kind of interesting and maybe unexpected for an industrial chemical is its smell. It's often described as, well, pleasant, slightly fruity, even a bit like wine.
Huh. Pleasant. Not the first word that springs to mind for industrial chemicals.
Yeah, definitely not.
So, okay, surprising smell aside, what does it do? What are the practical uses?
Well, a major use is making esters. Esters are. Think of them as the compounds that give things specific flavors and fragrances.
Ah.
So
Huh.
heptanoic acid is used to create esters for artificial fruit flavorings in food, candies, drinks,
Yeah.
and also for scents and perfumes, cosmetics, that kind of thing.
So taste and smell. Got it. But the report also called it a key intermediate for bio-based chemicals. What does that mean? Like a building block.
Exactly like a building block. It's a fundamental starting material. You take heptanoic acid and you can process it further to create other useful chemicals, often ones that are more environmentally friendly.
Such as?
Things like bio-based lubricants, certain pharmaceuticals, and also surfactants. Those are the active ingredients in soaps and detergents. So it's pretty versatile, more than just flavors.
Definitely more versatile than it first sounds. Okay, let's get back to those numbers. You mentioned USD 251.5 million in 2025. Where does it go from there? What's the growth look like?
The projection is for pretty solid growth. It's expected to reach USD 418.82 million by 2033.
Okay.
That works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of 4.20% starting from 2025.
4.2%. So steady growth, not explosive, but definitely consistent upward movement.
Precisely. It signals reliable, expanding demand.
And what's pushing that growth? What's the main engine here?
The report points pretty clearly to the expanding pharmaceutical industry. That seems to be the primary driver.
Pharmaceuticals. How so?
Well, as the global need grows for, new and better drug formulations, you also need the chemical building blocks, the intermediates to make them. Heptanoic acid is one of those key intermediates.
Right, so more drug development means more need for things like heptanoic acid.
Exactly. Its role in healthcare supply chains is becoming increasingly important.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's break it down geographically. Where is this market biggest right now?
North America is the current leader. It holds over 40% of the global market share in 2025. That's about USD 103.06 million.
40%. Wow, that's substantial.
It is. But interestingly, their growth rate is projected to be a bit slower, around 2.7% CAGR. So dominant now, but maybe a more mature market phase.
Okay, leader but slower growth. How does that break down within North America? U.S., Canada, Mexico.
The U.S. is the powerhouse, naturally, about USD 949.21 million in 2025, growing at roughly 2.5% CAGR.
Okay.
Canada is smaller, USD 144.37 million, but growing a bit faster at 3.5%. And Mexico, around USD 109.48 million with a 3.2% CAGR.
Got it. So North America leads, U.S. dominates that, but the real growth story might be elsewhere. What about Europe?
Europe's the second largest region, holds just over 30% of the market share. That's USD 942.94 million for 2025.
And their growth, similar to North America.
A little bit higher, actually. Projected CGR is around 3.3%, so steady growth there, too.
Any standouts in Europe?
Well, the UK is noted as leading in Europe, size-wise, about USD 158.41 million in 2025. And it has a pretty decent growth rate, 4.1% CAGR. Germany is also significant, USD 186.70 million market, growing at 3.5%.
Okay, so solid performance in key European countries. Now, you mentioned the growth story might be elsewhere. The report flagged Asia-Pacific, right, as the fastest growing.
That's the one. Asia Pacific currently holds about 23% of the global market. That's
Wow.
USD 780.36 million in 2025.
Okay, smaller share than North America or Europe right now.
But its projected growth rate is way higher, a CAGR of 6.9%. That's where the real dynamism seems to be.
6.9%. That's a big jump. Who's driving that in APAC? China? India?
Both, really. China is the dominant player within the region. USD 327.75 million market size, growing at 6.4%.
Still very strong.
But India is showing even faster growth. Projected 6GR of 8.8%, market size around USD 78.04 million. That nearly 9% figure for India really stands out.
Wow. Yeah, 8.8% is impressive growth. Okay, what about the rest of the world? South America, Middle East, Africa, are they significant?
They have smaller shares, but still growing. South America is over 5%, about USD 123.56 million, growing at 4.9% CAGR.
Okay.
The Middle East is around 2% share, USD 130.06 million, but growing quite fast too, 5.4% CAGR. And Africa holds about 1%, USD 71.53 million, with a 4.5% growth rate.
So, interesting growth pockets even in the smaller regions.
Yeah.
But the big picture seems to be North America and Europe leading now, Asia-Pacific catching up fast, especially driven by China, and, wow, India.
That sums it up pretty well, yes.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The report also segments the market by grade, application, and use. Let's start with grade. What are the options?
Primarily, it breaks down into industrial grade and pharmaceutical grade.
And which one's bigger currently?
Industrial grade holds the major share right now. That's because it's used so widely in things like lubricants, surfactants, general industrial chemicals.
Makes sense. And the fastest growing grade. Let me guess. Pharmaceutical.
You got it. Pharmaceutical grade is the fastest growing segment, and this ties directly back to that pharma industry driver we talked about. Tighter regulations, demand for high purity chemicals in drug making. It all fuels this segment.
Okay, pattern emerging. How about applications? Where is heptanoic acid actually used?
Lubricants are a dominant application. Again, think high-performance synthetic oils for cars, for industry. That's a big one.
Right.
But echoing the grade trend, the fastest-growing application is pharmaceutical ingredients. Same driver, different perspective.
Consistent story there. Okay, final segmentation. End use. Which industries are the biggest customers?
The automotive sector is a major end user. That's mostly through lubricants and also corrosion inhibitors that use heptanoic acid derivatives.
Makes sense given the lubricant application.
Yeah. But guess which sector is the fast-growing end user?
I'm sensing a theme. Pharmaceuticals.
Bingo. Pharmaceuticals again. Because they're increasingly using it as that key chemical intermediate in developing new drugs. It's fascinating, really, how looking at this one chemical gives you a window into broader trends, especially in pharma.
It really is interconnected.
Yeah.
Okay, let's zoom out again. Beyond the numbers, what are the fundamental forces shaping this market, the market dynamics? What's driving it forward?
Well, we've hit on the big one. Increasing use in pharmaceuticals and also as a food additive. That's a core driver.
Right.
Another really important one is the growing preference across many industries for renewable and biodegradable solutions. Bio-based heptanoic acid fits right into that.
The sustainability angle. That seems huge everywhere now.
It really is. And it connects to its use in high-performance lubricants, too, especially where thermal stability is needed automotive, industrial uses again.
Okay. Any other drivers?
Yes, just general advancements in manufacturing tech. Better chemical processing makes production more efficient, potentially lowers costs, which helps adoption.
So demand from pharma and food, the green chemistry push, performance needs in lubricants, and better tech. Sounds like a strong set of drivers. What about roadblocks? Any restraints mentioned?
There are a few. Production costs can be high, especially for the bio-based methods, which are desirable but sometimes more expensive currently.
Okay, cost is a factor.
Also, maybe lack of awareness in some potential user industries about its specific benefits. And of course, there's always competition from other chemicals, other synthetic options that might do a similar job.
So cost, awareness, and competition. Usual suspects in some ways. What about trends? What's emerging? What should we watch out for?
Well, continuing technological innovation is a big one, always looking for better ways to make it more efficient, maybe cheaper.
Makes sense.
There's also growing investment in R&D to find new uses, new industrial applications beyond the current ones.
Expanding its reach.
Exactly. And specifically, there's a trend towards biodegradable surfactants, particularly in cosmetics and cleaning products. Heptanoic acid derivatives could play a bigger role there.
Interesting niche. And the bio-based trend. That seems critical.
Absolutely central. The report really emphasizes this shift towards bio-based, renewable production methods. It's not just talk. They mention Arkema, for example, expanding its capacity for biomaterials, including N-heptanoic acid back in 2021 in Singapore.
Ah, a concrete example. That shows real investment.
Definitely. It's a tangible sign of where the industry is heading.
Okay, nearly there. Let's quickly touch on the competitive landscape. Who are the main companies involved?
It's a mix. The report lists companies like Acme Synthetic Chemicals, Arkema, who we just mentioned, Merck KGaA, Tokyo Chemical Industries, among others. Many are focusing on that sustainable production angle and innovation.
Right, established players, likely some specialists too.
Oh,
Okay, wow, that was quite the journey into heptanoic acid. Let's try and boil it down. Key takeaways for you listening.
yeah, I think the main points are this is a surprisingly large market already, over $3 billion projected for 2025.
Right.
Growth is steady, driven significantly by the pharmaceutical sector, and there's this huge underlying trend towards bio-based sustainable chemicals really shaping its future.
And regionally, North America leads for now. But keep your eye on Asia Pacific, especially India, for the fastest growth.
Precisely.
It's just fascinating, isn't it? How this one chemical, heptanoic acid, is woven into so many big industries. Pharma, automotive, food, fragrances.
It really illustrates how these kind of foundational chemicals quietly power so much of the economy we see and interact with every day.
Yeah, the hidden engines.
The
Yeah.
unsung heroes of manufacturing, maybe.
So, a final thought for you to chew on. As pretty much every industry pushes harder for both high performance and sustainability, how might a market like heptanoic acid seems niche now maybe become even more central? Could it become, a key part of more everyday products and technologies?
It's definitely something to watch. Keep an eye on those bio-based chemical innovations. They might just reshape things more than we expect.